Hello, this is Bari Nirmal. Please subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe link below.
Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Nirmal. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a Windows 10 virtual machine using a free piece of software called VirtualBox by Oracle Software. Virtual machines are but one part of virtualization, which is a very deep and complex topic, too difficult to cover in one video alone. Virtualization is very beneficial and heavily used by large corporations and enterprises. However, it also has its benefits and uses for small businesses, small offices, and home users. In this video in particular, I'm going to show you how to create a Windows 10 virtual machine on my host PC, which is also running Windows 10. You may be asking, why would I want to run a virtual machine running the same operating system as my host PC? One major reason for doing this is security purposes. Let's say that I want to try out a piece of software I've never encountered before, and I don't know whether or not it's infected with malware. I can run it in my virtual machine, and in case there is malware, that malware will only infect my virtual machine. It will not be able to jump over to my host PC. It'll instead run in that virtual machine in its own isolated container. So if my virtual machine becomes infected, I can simply close it just like any other application on my PC, delete the virtual machine from my hard disk, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. So let's go over to my Windows 10 PC. I'll show you how to download VirtualBox, download an ISO of Windows 10 to create. So let's go over to my Windows 10 PC. I'll show you how to download and install VirtualBox onto your PC, how to get a copy of Windows 10 from Microsoft's website, and then create a virtual machine using that copy of Windows 10. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, I'm at my Windows 10 desktop, and I'm going to begin by opening up my web browser and navigating to www.virtualbox.org. Once the site loads up, you'll go left to the Downloads tab, scroll down a little bit, and the latest version of VirtualBox as of this video is 6.1.18. And because my host computer is running Windows 10, I'm going to choose the Windows Hosts option to download the executable to my PC. Once the download's finished, I'll just click on it to run the installer. So here's the setup wizard. We'll hit next. We'll leave everything as default. Hit next again. Same as here, leave everything as default. Hit next. So here it's warning you that it'll temporarily reset your network connection, disconnect you from network just temporarily. So we'll hit yes. And then hit install to begin the installation process. Here. So there, the installation is complete, and I want to start the program right after installation and hit finish, and it should start it right up. And here is VirtualBox all ready to go. Now that I have VirtualBox installed on my PC, the next thing I need to do is get an ISO file of Microsoft Windows 10 so I can install that onto a virtual machine that I will create in VirtualBox. So the next step to do is go back to my web browser, and you'll navigate to this website in the URL bar above. Once you're at this official website by Microsoft, you'll scroll down slightly and click on this blue Download Tool Now button, and this will download Microsoft's Media Creation tool. So once that's downloaded, I'm going to run it, and we'll accept the terms and conditions. And then we'll select the second option, Create Installation Media. Hit next. I'm going to leave everything here as default. Hit next. And here I'm going to choose the ISO file instead of USB flash drive. Then hit next. And as you'll see, it already exists here because I've already used this tool previously to download the ISO. So instead of hitting next, I'm just going to exit out. So let me go back to VirtualBox. And now that I have that ISO file on my PC, let's go ahead and create a Windows 10 virtual machine. We'll go to New. And by default, I'll create it in this folder, which is fine. And I'm just going to call it Windows 10. And you'll see below the default says Windows 7. And when I type Windows 10, it'll automatically change to Windows 10. But if you click, we'll just click on the type and version, you'll see that they have many types of operating system types available, as well as many types of versions. For example, in Windows, they support all the way from Windows 3.1 to Windows Server 2019. So we'll just stick with Windows 10, hit next. And here, for memory size, I'll just leave it as the default, about 2 gigabytes of RAM. And my PC, my host PC, has 16 gigabytes, so I still have plenty left. Hit next. Next thing to do is create a virtual hard disk. And on my host PC, I roughly have about 500 gigabytes of space, and I'll create 50 gigabytes, which is fine. So I'll create virtual hard disk now, hit create. By default, you'll choose their own proprietary VDI type. That's fine, hit next. So do you want to dynamically allocate it or fixed size? I like to choose fixed size. Then I'll put it in this folder, make 50, and then create that virtual hard disk in which the virtual machine will install the operating system on. So now that it's been created, we'll see that a Windows 10 virtual machine template has been created with all these settings here below, which can be changed at any time. All machines that you create in VirtualBox will be shown here on the left. Right now we only have one machine, Windows 10, and if you want to change the settings of any of your virtual machines, you'll simply select it and click on the settings button to change any of these options shown here. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to leave all the settings as default. So right now, while this machine is called Windows 10, we can label it as anything we want. We can rename it to whatever we'd like to call it. But right now, while it says Windows 10, there's actually nothing on it. So if I hit the start button, you'll see that nothing will happen because there is no operating system. All we really did was create a blank empty shell. You'll see right upon startup, we get this message: fatal, no bootable medium found, system halted. So just like in a physical machine, we have to insert a Windows 10 installer, and in the case of a physical machine, it would come either on a DVD or a USB thumb drive. Right now, we downloaded that ISO file on our hard drive previously, so we're going to mount that and make our virtual machine boot from that to install Windows 10. So with this machine still up and running, we're going to go to Devices, Optical Drives, choose a disk image. Click on Add, go back to our downloads, click on Windows.iso, and hit Choose. So now it's like we've put a physical Windows 10 DVD into our drive. Now I'm going to reset the machine, which is just like hitting a reset button on your physical machine. So this time we can see the Windows installer is starting up. So now we're going to go ahead and install Windows 10 just like we would on a physical PC. The steps will be exactly the same. Now we're being asked to activate Windows and provide a valid license key just like on a physical machine, because every installation of Windows requires a valid product key. Right now I don't have one because I'll just be using this temporarily, so I'm going to click on I don't have a product key. Here I'll just choose the basic Windows 10 Home as default, accept the license terms, and I'm going to hit the custom because this is a fresh install of Windows. I'm not upgrading from an older version of Windows because there is no operating system on this virtual machine. Okay, so this is the 50 gigabyte virtual hard disk, which it thinks is a real physical hard disk. We'll just hit New. Okay, so everything's been partitioned and Windows is ready to be installed. Hit Next. And now the installation process has begun, just like on a real physical machine. So the installation process was complete. I also finished the initial setup and personalization, and now I'm at the desktop of my Windows 10 virtual machine running in VirtualBox. Although we've completed the installation of Windows 10 on our virtual machine, we're not quite done yet. one thing I would highly recommend to all users is to install something called VirtualBox Guest Editions. And what this will do is greatly increase the performance of your virtual machine, as well as enable some features that you may want to use later. So to do this, we'll go up to Devices and click on Insert Guest Edition CD Image. Once you do this, it will mount an ISO file in our virtual machine. So we can look at that by going to File Explorer, this PC, and now we see that an ISO has been mounted in a virtual CD drive called VirtualBox Guest Editions. We'll double click on it and then double click on this file, AMD64, to launch the installer. Click yes. So here's a setup wizard, and we'll just follow this and install the guest editions. And then the installation's been finished, and now we'll reboot the virtual machine. I'm back at my desktop of my Windows 10 virtual machine after installing the VirtualBox Guest Editions, and I can already notice a big performance increase just by moving my mouse around in the desktop. However, if you're still having performance issues with your virtual machine, there are a few settings you can modify to help. But to do this, you'll first have to power off your virtual machine. To do that, you'll go to File, Close, make sure Power Off the Machine is selected, and click OK. Once that's done, make sure your virtual machine is selected, then go to Settings, go down to the System tab. You can increase your base memory, and I would recommend increasing it to at least 4 gigabytes or 4096 MB, and make sure not to get too high, as it may cause performance issues or instability in your host machine. You can also go to Processor, and if only one CPU is selected, I would highly recommend changing that to at least 2. And again, make sure it doesn't go too high, as this can cause issues with your host machine. Okay. And then you can go down to Display, increase the amount of video memory, also select Enable 3D Acceleration. And hopefully these options will help to increase the performance of your Windows 10 virtual machine.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you like the content, please hit the like button down below, and also please hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I'll be creating more content like this in the future. Again, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
Hello. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so by clicking on the subscribe link below. Also write your comments in the comment section below. Spread the word. You can share this video with your friends by clicking on the share button below, and you can share it with WhatsApp, with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and by sending email to your friends.